I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, Kelly's going to help us know the state flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay. Let us bow, and we will pray. Our gracious Father, Lord, we come before you today, grieved in heart over the divisions of our land. We grieve for every life lost to violence, regardless of color or creed. Father, we stand together in the powerful and mighty name of Jesus against every work of Satan that's intended to inflict injury and death on us and our protectors. May your power be, Father, may the power of Satan be thwarted in your mighty name, and may his plans be exposed by your light. Lord, we know that your word teaches us that there is neither Jew nor Greek, nor slave or free, nor male or female. All these superficial distinctions between us have been abolished by your work on the cross. By your grace and power, lead us into a new day of racial harmony in our land, a day in which your name is again lifted high in our nation, and the rule of law is honored by all. Please grant us spiritual, political, and cultural leaders who will speak to us with your wisdom and your truth. Please renew us in a spirit, a mind, and a heart, that we may once again be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray all of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. 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 You may be seated.
Before we go to our first speaker, I would like to let you know that Attorney General Ken Paxton sent us someone to spend the day with us. So here we have Austin Kinghorn. If you will thank him for coming, I would really appreciate that. So you know that they're listening. It's very, very important. They're listening. Brent, if you'll come up. Brent Smith is our county attorney, and he was one of the ones, along with, and you'll meet Sheriff Roy Boyd in a little bit, that kind of started some things rolling, and I'll let him explain that to you.
Thank you. Thank you for all for coming today. Well, this started a couple months back, and I noticed that the Texas residents on the border weren't allowed to have the same constitutional rights as other Texans did, or other Americans, in fact. And the only thing that I could do as county attorney is write a letter. And so I wrote a letter, and I put it in the local paper, and many of you read. And the next day, the Goliad County judge and the sheriff called. And they came down here and made a special trip, drove 4 hours to come meet with us, and told us, they have our back. They're going to help us with everything. And they've been a tremendous help since that day. Since then, though, at least, 20 other counties? A total of 28 other counties have also declared a local state of disaster. And under Texas law, TDM, the Texas Department of Energy, or Texas Emergency Management, is supposed to contact us, give us the resources we need to confront any disaster that we have declared. None of the counties have heard a word from TDM, which is under state law a violation. We haven't heard much from the governor except, there's a disaster, keep your receipts and we'll try to get money for you afterwards. That doesn't help us today at all. That doesn't help us at all. It's unacceptable.
Right. Yeah.
We need to put pressure on the governor. We need to put pressure on TDM every day, relentlessly, until we have the resources we need. Even because if counties coordinated together can do some good, But the state legislature and the state resources that the governor has are what we really need. And so I encourage everyone to call the governor, call Tatum, or call the governor. He can get a hold of Tatum. And that will let DPS regional commander come down here and provide us the resources we need. And we'll speak more about this with Sheriff Coe, and he'll give you more details on that. But I want to thank everyone for coming out here today, and hopefully we'll find a solution to this. But this is where it starts at. This is how we find solutions to our problems. Thank you.
Sheriff Coe, if you will come up here and share a few things with us.
Good afternoon. Are we on? Okay. I want to thank you all for coming out on a Saturday. I know you have better things to do than sit here and listen to me. Like our county attorney said, he was thinking about it, ended up writing a letter, and we got a response. Since then, we've written several letters. I sent one to the governor the other day. I kind of asked him for more demanding that the National Guard be sent to Kinney County to help with what's going on, and I haven't yet to hear anything. So it kind of tells us we're on our own. So, working with the county attorney, the county judge, several other sheriffs, I am going to start here locally. If we catch them, we're going to start prosecuting these people that are trespassing on y'all's property. It's going to be something new. We're going to have a quick turnaround. We're going to try for a quick turnaround process. Get them in, book them, magistrate them, take them to court, hopefully within 24 to 48 hours. They may be released after time served, but it will give them a criminal record. So if they ever try to apply for something later on in their life, that will flag them. We're also starting to look at some of these parents that are bringing these children in. We're going to start filing. How about now? All right. Okay, can you hear me better? When some of these people that are bringing these small children over, we caught one the other day. She fell out of a car. She took her step. Okay. We had a bailout, and a woman took her 7-year-old kid with her out of the car, tried to run into the brush. No food, no water, nothing for them. We caught her up. We are proceeding with. It's just not my night to talk. We are proceeding with. We are proceeding with child endangerment charges on this one. The scope of Texas law that we can charge these people with it, and we're going to start charging more and more. If they run from us, we're going to charge them. We've been doing it in the past on the smugglers. They drive through a fence. If they run from us, we have to. We've been taking those cases to court. We've been very successful. Now it's time to step up the game. We're going to start.
You speak loud without the mic. He's going to start holding those suckers accountable is what he's trying to say.
Test. Yes. Go.
Okay, how about now? So, but like you said, we're going to try to start holding these people accountable for what's going on. Now, am I against immigration? No, I'm not. I am for legal immigration. My in-laws are legal immigrants. So that's what we're here for. We're all for that. It's just illegal stuff that's going on. And the cartels are taking advantage of it. They're taking advantage of the people. They're putting people at risk. I would say in the past 18 months, we've had 2 pursuits that ended in rollovers, killing a total of 3 people. There was the one in Val Verde County that killed 8 people. They don't care. So we have to step up our game, and as sheriffs, we're gonna start working a little closer together. One of the big inspirations, Sheriff Boyd back there, he drove 4 hours just to visit with us for 30 minutes. That says a lot, that we hope we're doing the right thing. So if you would bear with us while we get this process going, it's gonna take a while. It's not gonna be an overnight success. I've got some forms I'll hand out to y'all if y'all are interested. If we catch people, or you catch people, or the Border Patrol catches people on your property, signing this document will give me the authority to act on your behalf to file the criminal charges without you having to come into town every time we catch somebody. Whether somebody's found on the So we're going to keep moving forward on this. And as I said in the last meeting, last time we had a gathering, our Constitution, the Texas Sheriff is your last line of defense to protect your Constitution. If we elect a president who is a socialist, he will pick a socialist cabinet and he will do his bidding that way. If we elect a governor that is a socialist, and he will pick his socialist agenda, and the people have to work for him. I work for y'all. Y'all elected me, you put me in this position. It's my duty to protect your constitutional rights no matter what. And that's what we're going to do. And like I said, I thank y'all for coming out. I know it's a Saturday. Y'all may have better things to do than look at me. And I've got my mustache club over here. He's out there showing his off. So I will pass the mic back to Kelly. Thank y'all for coming, and God bless y'all.
So earlier today, we had a law enforcement conference, and so I told them that they were all our heroes. But all of you, no matter where you are in the state, you heard about the bill in the House that somebody wanted to finish the wall, right? They wanted Texas to help finish the wall. Everything's already been paid for. They're just not finishing it. Well, we have Texas State Representative Bryan Slaton here, and he was the author of House Bill 2862, the Border Security Enhancement Fund, and other border security legislation. But what you gotta know is he's from Senate District 2, which is East Texas. So welcome, Bryan Slaton.
Thank you all so much. And I am Bryan Slaton, and I'm state representative. This is my first term. My background, I was a youth and family minister for about 13 years. And then I work in our family business now. And my heart has been in for God's kingdom. And then it's been for our community, culture we live in. And we have every right to be involved in every aspect of our government. I was hoping a couple things here. Do we have any patriots here in the room? And do we have some frustrated Texans in the room as well? You know, when I ran for office, I never thought I would ever do it. Just didn't think it would be something that I would do. But let me tell you, God can use any one of us at any time to do any job. And I am proud of the local elected officials y'all have that are passing these emergency declarations. It says a lot. Because, you know, when I ran for office, I was frustrated that the Republicans who wanted to represent me only seemed to really care and only really seemed to have a spine when they were campaigning and needed a vote. And here we are. We have a horrible situation on our hands. And you know, and I just want to tell you, I know as you stand up and you're frustrated, you're angry, and you're disgusted at some of the things that are going on, what's happening to human lives, people want to try to blame you. And you know what? Well, I haven't figured out this whole thing is how come no one blames the governments these people come from? What about the churches from the country they come from? For some reason, it's only our job to take care of everyone, and I don't understand that. And let me just tell you real quick, if you didn't know, and some of you had heard, but yes, I filed the bill to finish And my phone is there. Oh, I don't know. We'll see if it stops. But okay, so everybody got me? No. But I followed that bill, and you know we've had lots of presidents, doesn't matter the party, talk about the border situation, but we had one president campaign on wanting to build the wall. And I felt like it was appropriate to name it after him, also to help with just getting the word out. But on our bill, we said only Texas companies can build the wall. Only Texas companies that used E-Verify. And then people said, well, Bryan, how could you do that? How could you ask the federal government to pay for the wall when it's not Texas' job to build it? Can y'all hear me? If I do that, let me make that work. So, if they're not going to do their job, it's Texans' job to do the job. Something a lot of people from either a big city or another state may not get. And it's the attitude and the culture of Texans, and especially this part of Texas, that if the job's going to get done, there's no one else going to do it but you, right? And this is affecting everything. Our families, our economy, the overall safety of our community. And I filed the bill because something's got to be done. You know, I refer to human trafficking and human smuggling as the modern day slavery. It's horrible what is happening to children. And, you know, and like I say, people said it's not our job to do it. It's the federal government's. Well, that's why I decided in my bill to charge them interest. Just in case they thought they were too big for the britches, in case the federal government forgets that it's the state. The states created the federal government. And the Constitution is supreme. And we have every right to take care of our community. And of course, our hardworking men and women in law enforcement doing everything they can. But you know what, as I mentioned earlier, they need to sleep. They need to take care of their family. And they need a vacation. They might get sick. This wall isn't the fix to do everything, but it would be a big help in curbing and slowing down the atrocities that are happening. And so I just want to tell you once again how proud I am to be here. I want you to know that though there are a lot of deaf ears in Austin, I'm listening, I'm fighting, we need more. And I want to encourage every one of you, if your elected officials are not going to stand up and fight for what's right, maybe God is paving the way for you to step in and for you to do it. Thank you so much for everyone for putting this on, for being here, for caring. You care about your community. You care about your property. You care about people that are being forced to cross. And I'm just so proud you're here. And I hope that through this, and as you reach out and talk to others and some of the people I've met being down here, we can encourage the governor to place border security on a special session agenda. The Republicans have chosen to not even have a committee hearing on building the wall. But what I don't understand is we're not asking them to do something they don't like. We're not asking them to eat their vegetables. They all campaign on securing the border. We're asking you to do what you say you believe in. This is not a difficult ask. So where we're at this legislative session, we're not going to get anything done, and I'm sorry to tell you that, on border security. We're not. Our hope right now is to build momentum and just information, build
knowledge and build support so that the governor will place this item on a special session. Otherwise, we're going to have to wait for the next legislative session. And you'll know how bad it's going to be in the next few months as people are crossing through these hot summer months. And the same thing's going to happen next summer. And only then. You know, we have to act with some urgency.
Yes.
That's why you took time out of your Saturday to come here. And our elected officials need to have the same urgency. And thank you so much. I'm proud to be here. And we're going to keep fighting.
I'm going to try this one more time. And any of y'all that have equipment, if you have a microphone that has a cord on it in a bag, I would love to have it. That would take care of this. How many of you drove 3 hours to get here? How many of you drove 4 hours to get here? 5 hours. Anybody drive 5 hours back here in the corner? Wow, back here. Anybody further than that? I was fixing to say, nuts, this is a long way. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Katie Hobbs is next, and she became a celebrity over the last few weeks. Yes, she did. She is a rancher, and if you saw any video on 5 Little Girls, that came from Katie, and she's going to share that story with you, and it's very sad, and for people that tell me this isn't going on, I just want to bop them on the head. Anyway, Katie, you're next, and this is fine. I guess you don't have your cell phone on you, right?
Thank you, and good afternoon. Welcome to everyone. My name is Katie Hobbs. I'm married to Jimmy Hobbs. We farmed in this border region for around 30 years. My husband was born and raised here. In the years that we've lived on the border, we've witnessed personally many tragic events, but none as devious and dangerous and tragic as the one that we saw on Mother's Day. We've seen many adults come through our farm in the past, but the difference now is the most vulnerable are coming through now. In the old days, it was grown men and grown women, people who could take care of themselves. Not pregnant women, not young women, not babies, young children of all ages coming through. That's the big difference about what we're seeing. And we're also seeing a huge number, unlike we've ever seen before in our lives. Through this whole thing, I myself have fought back the tears, as life down here has taught me to do. It's a rough life, but you learn to love it and you learn to live it. Some of the reporters had asked me, how do you stand in here? And I said, look at this. I said, it's a beautiful place. We love it here. It's our life. We've spent our whole lives here. And this is our place, our home. But like Brent said, the trespassing, we continue to have to put up with that, the destruction, etc., and so on. Somehow, Jimmy and I have managed to massive media attention, and we're grateful for them. Keep in mind that we're relatively quiet people. We keep to ourselves, and we just want to work and live our lives unhindered. However, this incident rose above that, and we both agreed to share this. Jimmy said, just get it out and put it out everywhere. We felt that it was newsworthy to say the least and divine intervention at the best. Perhaps the untruth and lies about the border being secure and closed would resonate as the absolute falsehood that it is. That the populace would be moved to action to help us stop this. We didn't even consider the fact that these videos would go viral. We were convicted to do the right thing, the righteous thing. We didn't think twice about it. There's no doubt in my mind that divine appointment was at work here. My husband had second thoughts and hesitated about even going to that field on the river. It was in the morning at 8:30 on Mother's Day, and only a few hands were working that day to be checked on. But something in him said go, and he did. What he found was a huddled mass of bewildered, frightened, weeping children on a dirty blanket by a dirt pile, with a naked infant crawling through the dirt. There was another one that was still in diapers, and I don't believe the other 3 were much over 4 or 5 years old. He immediately sent me a picture caption with the words, "How can this be happening?" I was in the kitchen when I received this. I was just flabbergasted. I jumped in my mule and I headed down there as quick as I could. Now you're going to see the Ken Spy video, and then you're going to see the video that I made with the face of the children. I insisted the video be shown today without the blurred faces of these babies. I wanted the people here to see what I saw and continue to see in my mind daily. And will remember every Mother's Day for the rest of my life. I will not watch all the news coverage. I didn't. I only watched Hannity and Sarah Parker. I just couldn't keep reliving it. My deepest desire is for this video and these pictures to make a difference to the point of stopping us. As I've stated many times, this will be a long, hot, deadly summer if it isn't stopped. Not just here, but across this entire border region. That is why we're here today. Each and every one of us can make a difference. I encourage you all to join in this fight in any way that you can. Be relentless, be purposeful, and be dedicated. Thank you, and God bless.
Frustration in her voice.
If this doesn't make you mad and want you to take to the streets, I don't know.
A shocking discovery for an area couple, 5 unaccompanied migrant children abandoned on their property.
They found the children over the weekend at a ranch off Highway 277 between Eagle Pass and Del Rio. The ages of the 5 girls range from 7 years old to just 11 months. Vanessa Croy with the Ken Spy Border Team is in Lindo with the Rancho story they're sharing only with Ken Spy.
Well, from where I'm standing, you can see Mexico on the other side of the river here. This ranch includes 5 miles along the U.S.-Mexico border. The Hobbs told me in the last few months they've seen migrant traffic pick up, including a group of 50 that crossed just a few weeks ago. But they said what they found over the weekend was the worst thing they'd ever seen.
No one but these children dumped out on the side of the river here on our farm.
With frustration in her voice.
If this doesn't make you mad and want you to take to the streets, I don't know what will.
Katie Hobbs recorded the situation unfolding right in front of her.
And then we found them laying over here. They were crying, they were scared, they didn't know where their parents were.
Sunday morning, Hobbs said her husband discovered 5 migrant children.
My husband called me on Mother's Day morning about 8:30 and sent me a picture of 5 little girls laying in the dirt on a dirty blanket down here on the river.
Alone and abandoned on their farm.
He thought one of them was dead.
Border Patrol officials said the 5 girls were from Honduras and Guatemala. The oldest child was 7 years old. The youngest, just 11 months.
Babies. These are babies.
Hobbs said her husband finished his evening rounds at 6 the night before. Didn't find them until early the next morning.
They were here all night alone. Jimmy said they were weeping and crying when he found them. And they stopped crying when they realized they were going to get some help.
The other 2 people you see in the video are farm employees trying to communicate with the girls in Spanish.
They couldn't say anything about their parents or where they were.
Hobbs said in the decades they've lived on the ranch, they've had occasional crossings, but nothing like they've seen in the last few months. And she said she fears it will only get worse.
Our summers are about to get brutally, brutally hot. And it is going to be a killing field if something is not done. Look at this.
In Maverick County with the Ken Spy Border Team, I'm Vanessa Croy.
Border Patrol agents transported the children to the holding facility in Uvalde until they're transferred into the custody of Health and Human Services.
If it broke your heart, it should break your heart. And we have an open invitation out to every single person, actually in the rest of the world, to throw us your children. Which is so sad since, you know, if you live here and you leave your child in the car, they don't have to die or anything. If you leave your child in the car, you're going to jail. But we send an invitation to please throw your children over the fence and we will take care of them. Now, how does that make sense? I just cannot even fathom it. If you do not know that there are not a single person or child comes in without the cartel's help, somehow, some way. And in the last administration, they had to go through a lot of good tape. We won't call it red tape, but they had to go through a lot for somebody to pick them up. Now they don't, they just have a phone number on them. Anybody picks them up. So the more we let this happen, the more it is on us. And that is why you're here, to let everybody know that people care and we want change. Sheriff Boyd, you're going to be up right after this next one. But Austin Kinghorn from the Attorney General's would like to say a few words, if you will come up for a second.
My name is Austin Kinghorn. I'm the General Counsel of the Attorney General's Office. I'm not going to take much of your time. This is your event. I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. But I do have a message from General Paxton. I know that many of you, maybe everyone in this room, feels abandoned. And I want to assure you that while I can't speak for the federal government, I can't speak for anyone else in state government, I can tell you that you are not alone. General Paxton is going to fight like hell for you. Since President Biden came into office just over 4 months ago and instituted his immigration policies, or lack thereof, our office has sued the Biden administration and the federal government not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times. And we've already won one of those lawsuits. And we will file 500 more. If that's what it takes, we will exhaust every authority we have to fight for you, to protect you, and to try to prevent the travesty of injustice that's going on down here. We're just one office, but I want you to know this is our top priority. It's not lip service. Last month, General Paxton went on a 3-day trip to the border around McAllen. It wasn't a photo op. We were there for 3 days. We got the behind-the-scenes tour. We're going back on the road this upcoming week, and we're going to do it again in the Laredo area. This is our top priority. We will fight for you if no one else will. That's a promise, and I just want you to know that our office is here to assist you in any way that we can. Thank you for being here, and we appreciate everyone.
Next we have Sheriff Roy Boyd. He's from Goliad, quite a distance. And they took on this, we'll call it a fight, about the same time we did. The very first disaster declaration against invasion of illegals and infectious disease was filed on April 21st. I'm sure all of y'all know that, right? And that's kind of why you're here. And like I said, no one has paid much attention to it. So Sheriff Boyd, if you will share a few things with us.
Thank all of you for being here today. Really appreciate you coming. I want to go back to that video you shared, man. I work close with partners in Homeland Security and Border Patrol. And you see those little girls there, what I'm going to tell you is something that's probably even worse. Is a simple fact that Homeland Security and Border Patrol are encountering the same kids being smuggled over the border over and over. So these little girls may get picked up by Border Patrol. They may get handed out to somebody who has a number. But what's happening sometimes is those children are then smuggled back into Mexico and being handed to other adults to get them in the country again. These children are being cycled through like this over and over again, just as tools for the evil trade of drug or human trafficking. They get utilized over and over. Can you imagine being a 6-year-old little girl and you get smuggled across the border with some stranger multiple times? This is
A
absolutely
shocking
disgusting.
discovery for an area couple, 5 unaccompanied migrant children abandoned on their property.
They found the children over the weekend at a ranch off
It's not
Highway
the first time I've
277
been preempted, it's
between
okay. I'm going to tell you that I firmly believe that everybody is made in the image of God. I hope that you agree with me. It's disgusting. But I'm going to tell you the difference between us and them. We understand that. It's a truth. It's in the Bible. Marxism is based off Darwinism. In Darwinism, you are nothing but another animal, and there is no consequences for what happens to you. And that's what we're facing. We're facing a Marxist invasion. We're facing a Marxist revolution. It's based off Darwinism. It says that you have no value as a human being. You only have the value that the state says you have. And I don't mean like the state of Texas, but the government in general. It's disgusting, and we can't let it continue. I'm with Sheriff Coe. I file all the state charges on individuals that we catch coming through our county as a deterrent to try to keep them from coming through the county. As a sheriff, it is my duty to protect the life and liberty of the people that I serve. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We're here for you. We appreciate all your support. We're going to continue to do what we can. My hat's off to Kinney County. Thank y'all very much for everything you've done. Y'all have led the charge, and we're more than honored to be able to help you. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great
So a lot of people could be interviewed and they choose not to. The truth is these people, there's others up here, have been interviewed over and over and over. And it was probably real exciting when they started. But about 30 or 40 into it, it's not anymore. But they're still going, and they're here today. And people are asking for your stories too, because the rest of the United States still thinks nothing's going on. And only by them getting out there and just putting themselves out there to be heard over and over and over to tell their stories, will we get somewhere. So a lot of you are here. A lot of you are here because I said I need the numbers. I need to show that we all care, so please come. A lot of you are looking for something to do. You can help spread the word. I want to thank Texans for closing the border, which is also Citizens for Truth also. Am I correct? They're not. But if you will get on some of those sites, take those things and keep spreading them, especially to people up north. I'm sorry, but they just think we dropped off and we're in a world by ourselves right now. Though we do feel like we're living in a third world country. I won't disagree with you on that. So next we have Cole Hill. And he has been on the news quite a bit recently, and I think that you will enjoy hearing his story in person also. Cole?
Hey everybody, my name is Cole Hill. I run the Gun Hill Ranch out here on the Uvalde-Kinney County line, and I have to disagree with something she just said. It was not exciting the first time that I got interviewed. It hasn't been very exciting since. Like Ms. Hobbs said just a minute ago, we're just quiet and private people. One of the biggest benefits to living in a very rural setting and ranching out here where we do is that we can stay away from people. That's our property and where we live and where we work has been a huge blessing, because that's just one of the many benefits. But I live out there with my wife and our 3 children, ages 5, 7, and 9, and we all know that illegal immigration has been an issue for years and years and years. Where we are, we're about 34 miles off the river. For the last 5 or so years, I have had illegals on the property, but it's never been more than about 20 or 30 in any given year. Sometimes the traffic might have been 2 or 3 people a month, and then I wouldn't see anybody for months on end, maybe even a full year at a time. That's not the case anymore. It began on January 20th, no coincidence. Our house that we live in on the ranch is way back in the middle of nowhere. One of the scary things about it is we could have a full-blown gunfight on our front porch and nobody would know about it. But in 5+ years, I've not had a single illegal show up to my house back there on the property, and never even any evidence that one has come around. But January 20th this year, we had the first one show up. I was working in the barn, and my dog, and that's another thing, my dog, got so used to the little traffic that we had that she didn't even realize she was a guard dog. But she's starting to figure it out now. She's starting to get as upset about this situation as I am. But anyways, I was working at the barn, and she was out there sunbathing on the slab, and she lit up and stepped outside to see a gentleman, and head-to-toe camo, better than any camouflage I've ever owned, and I'm an avid hunter. And it obviously alarmed me. I've had plenty of encounters with illegal aliens over the last 10 or more years, but I've never had one that close to the house. So I stopped him. I told him backtrack and get away, and I told him how to get away from the house. I called Border Patrol. I don't know if they ever got him, but that was just kind of the beginning of this giant snowball that has occurred. Fast forward 2 or 3 weeks, Valentine's Day this year, February 14th. It was a Sunday afternoon. It was the day before the big freeze that we all dealt with. I was out on the ranch with my 7-year-old boy. We were trying to gather up as much firewood as we could, knowing what was coming for the rest of the week, when I got the phone call that I've been dreading for a long time, and I've had plenty of nightmares about since then. I had my phone in the truck. I was out cutting some wood. My son comes, he goes and answers the phone, and he comes out and he says, "Hey, Mommy just called. She said there's a bunch of illegals at the house." I said, "What?" So I grabbed the phone. I was hoping she was joking, just trying to get me back home quicker, but that wasn't the case. She said, "You can come home now. There's a bunch of illegals here. They've surrounded the house. They're all over the house. They're looking in the windows. They're at the back door. They're at the front door. They're banging on the walls, everything." So obviously, we abandoned our project and flew home. It took us about 3 minutes to get there, and we were about 5 miles away on the property, so we were scooting pretty good. But anyhow, we rolled up to the house. There was still one on the front porch, and the rest of them had taken off. I made it pretty quickly to the individual on our front porch. I got him off the porch, and I promptly escorted him out of the yard, and demanded that he tell me where all of his friends are, and they need to show themselves and all of that. It took a little bit of trying to get them to come out, but they finally did. They were in our garage. They had when they heard me coming, they took off, went into the garage, told them, get out of here, and called Border Patrol. And it took. This is one of the issues with all of this that's going on. Our law enforcement is severely tied up dealing with all the other problems. It's not just me out there; it's all of us out there living on these places, calling these people in, dealing with these problems. I called as soon as I hung up the phone with my wife. I called one of my Border Patrol buddies, and he told me, "Don't worry, we're on the way." I told him, "Good, you better get there before I do. We're gonna have a problem." It took Border Patrol an hour and 7 minutes to get to my house. I live about 12 miles from the checkpoint, and on a good day, they can be at my house in about 15 minutes. Again, on that day, it took an hour and 7 minutes. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but most of you don't know my wife. She's about that tall, she weighs 95 pounds, and she's smoking hot. I say that, but I hate to think of what 5 men could do if they wanted to do harm to my family, and they could get into my house as quick as they possibly could have. That was the first real scare that we had. And again, this is early on. This is February. This is beginning of February. Just maybe a week or two after that, obviously after that happened, we don't even want our kids playing outside in the yard anymore. And again, we live where we should not see anybody at all. Our kids used to just run, roam, get on the Ranger, get on the mule, go. My shop, our barn where I do a lot of our work, about 100 yards away from the house, and they used to just run back and forth to the barn, go piddle around, do whatever. We kind of put the brakes on that after that first event happened. So after a few weeks of just, being stuck in the house, we're like, all right, let's spend this weekend outside. I'm going to do the yard, I'll be out, the kids can play around me and everything. I didn't get halfway done mowing my front yard, and the kids were all playing in the backyard, and if I wasn't paying as much attention, these guys could slip right up on us. Obviously, my head's on a swivel now from all of this, and sure enough, here comes 5 more dudes. Every time that these guys come into my house, it's been a group of 5. Here comes 5 dudes slipping out of the brush, and they're hitting a jog on the way to my house, coming straight to my house. I shut the mower down, I holler for the kids to get inside, I start yelling at these guys to stay back. I run inside and, grab a firearm, and as soon as I came back out, they stopped, they, changed their course, and they took off. Called Border Patrol, again, an hour or more for Border Patrol to get there. And this has happened a total, okay. Yesterday morning was the 5th group that I've had at my house since January 20th this year. And this was at 3:30 in the morning. And luckily, my dog, again, has figured out her place finally. And she was able to keep them out away from the house. And then, of course, I went out there and finished getting them away from the house. But this is something that we're dealing with routinely now. And again, actually, I brought all these notes. I don't know if I'm going to actually end up getting to them or not. But these are just a few, encounters that I've had with illegals that involve my family. Our property, we have several thousand acres there, and I'm constantly out and about. And I can't tell you how many encounters and how many altercations I've had with these illegals out in the pasture when I'm by myself. And I do everything that I can to try to subdue them or hold them down for Border Patrol, because Border Patrol usually is taking forever to get there now. And these guys are super disrespectful. They taunt me. They call my bluff a lot of times, no matter what I'm pointing at them or not. Sometimes I can subdue them, sometimes I can't. But I'm going on about 6 weeks straight now with illegals on my property on a daily basis, or multiple groups a day on our property. I'm seeing them, you can't hardly, just drive anywhere on the ranch without running into them. I've had my perimeter fence cut 7 times. 5 of those times, it was cut from top to bottom, from the very top strand to the very bottom strand. And 3 of those times, it's cut from one T-post to the other T-post, and that whole section of fence is pulled out. There's no getting that back. And countless water troughs, getting busted, pipes getting broken, it drains our pilas, it drains our water systems. Next thing you know, I got 100 head of cows that are out of water, just like that. And that can turn into a pretty terrible crisis in itself very quickly. Let's see what else I got here. I got lots of problems. But anyways, I keep getting told that this is not a new problem that we're dealing with. Obviously, we all know, again, that illegal immigration has been going on forever. But to me, in my setting, at my house, at our ranch, this is certainly a new problem. We've not had anything like this happen, at least in the years that I've been there, nothing close to the volume of what we're dealing with. Look at our communities. How many times before this year has La Pryor ISD been on lockdown, multiple times in a week because we've had a bailout right down the road from the school? And I just use them as an example. How many of our other communities are dealing with problems that we've just really not dealt with before? This is a new problem, and we all know why it's a new problem. I don't necessarily love our government, but I feel like there's only 2 ways that this problem is going to get solved, and it's either going to be we the people or the people up top. I sure don't like to think about we the people taking care of it, but who knows? I do know that we need to do everything that we can to contact our elected officials and try and do this the right way. We know that it's possible for our government to secure our border because we just had a man in there who had it the most secure it's been in a long time. The proper policies can be put into place, and we know that with enough pressure and with the right people in the right places, we can restore our order, we can restore our peace of mind, and we can restore our properties that are just constantly getting overrun these days. Anyways, I think that's about all I've got. I just want to encourage all of you to, again, let's try and do this the right way. What's up, Miss Jayla?
Are these people armed?
I'm only going to speak to what I've seen. Sure, I have not encountered anybody that I have seen a weapon on. Now, everybody that I've encountered has got a pretty big backpack on their back, and I can't tell you what's in there except for the people that I've put on the ground and pulled their backpack off of them. There ain't been no pistols in there yet either. But I don't know. I think it would be naive to think that they're not in some way, shape, or form. And here's the other thing. I don't love all this attention. I don't want it. I've done these interviews. I've got social media, but I really haven't posted anything on there in about 4 or 5 years up until now. But we have to start speaking out. We have to start getting the word out of what's really going on down here. And I've had a lot of people, tell me a lot of different opinions on how we should approach this. And I've had a lot of people tell me that they're, on the whole armed situation. Let me tell you guys, when I'm out there working on a water trough, because I've had these guys slip up on me, Ms. Ruby. I've had people slip up on me, while I'm working, and it don't matter how much you're paying attention, they can be on you like that. I'm just as worried about somebody smashing me over the head with a rock as I am hitting me with a rifle. Matter of fact, I think there's plenty of rocks on my place, and I think every single one of the people that I've seen on my property has more access to that rock than they do a gun in their back pocket or whatever. It doesn't matter. If they want to do us harm, they will. And sure, there's probably some good apples in there as well, but I don't think the good apples are 35 miles off the river trying to evade every law enforcement they can as aggressively as they are. Myself, my wife, and my children, we pray for each other's safety. We pray for all of y'all's safety, all of our neighbors, all of our law enforcement who are dealing with this. We pray for our elected officials, for Mr. Coe, for everybody down here that's doing everything that they can to put a stop to this. I'm sure that most of y'all are as well, but if you're not, I urge you to do that. And I urge you to just keep trying everything you can to contact the people who need to be contacted. Tell them that this is what we're dealing with, and it's got to stop. We know it can stop, and it has to. I say all of that selfishly because there's the whole other side of this equation, which is what Ms. Hobbs just showed us. There's no telling how many innocent children already have, are just going to continue to have unspeakable things done to them the longer this goes on. I have 3 children. I hope and I pray to God that I never find a child on my property. That would be, I don't know. It's hard enough for us to sleep as it is. There's a lot of innocent people who are dealing with things that they shouldn't have to be right now because of our new open borders. And so I guess our message should be that we just need to shut this down. Open borders are the worst thing that happened to us for both sides of the border. Anyways, thank you guys. Adios.
Every single county in Texas recently did receive a form letter from Governor Abbott's office. And they wanted to know how much the counties had spent on the legal process going through. It did not have all of the individuals out there, which is the reason that we did this with the citizens and ranchers today. At the end of the day, there is no price that you can put on fear. It just doesn't exist. And how long do you carry that fear? Forever? Till you move? There are people selling their ranches, their homes. People are not retiring here, they're going somewhere else. It has to stop, or Texas that we know will not be Texas. Next, I have George Rodriguez. Come on up, George.
Folks, I want to talk to you as an American of Mexican descent. And that's important. I'm not a Latino, no offense, because I'm not sure what a Latino is sometimes, whether it's a Cuban or a Puerto Rican, or one of those folks crossing the river. I am an American, okay? My family has been here in Texas for generations. And they were angry with the mojados. Whereas my grandmother, I forgot that, my grandmother used to call them los pinche mojados. And, you know, I like this. I've said that in Wisconsin, and everybody said, so the situation, my friends, like he said, it's been around, but it's never been like this. Last summer, I was working with the Fox crew in Del Rio, and a guy from Zambia, 10 of them coming out of the water. He sneezed on my shoulder. You think I was worried about COVID at that point? You know? My friends, let me be very, very blunt with you. The headache that we've got right now is because historically we put up with a tolerable sin, which was illegal immigration. They would come across and work, and many of them would go back, many of them would stay, you know. However, this is a different situation. We are excusing and rewarding bad behavior. And what happens when you excuse and reward bad behavior? Right? This situation with the little girls, we are rewarding the use of children. That was not happening before. You know why? Because Trump told them, you got to stay over there. Doesn't matter what you do. But when we were doing that, the Democrats, excuse me, I don't know if there's any here. But the liberals, leftists, Democrats, and the media were quick to condemn, to say we're not Christian. That we are not Christian only because we want to defend our country. If our country sinks, who's going to save them? You know? Isn't it enough, my friends, that we give them foreign aid? That now we've got to house, educate, give them health, accept all of them without any kind of screening? No, all of us here, yes, all of us here are products of immigrants. We're not immigrants now. I hate it when somebody says, well, we're a nation of immigrants. I'm not an immigrant. No. We are a nation that came from immigrants. And it was a controlled immigration. One of my favorite scenes in The Godfather 2 is when little Vito Corleone is coming through. And they stop him because he's sick. And they don't let him go in. He's a kid. The ACLU would be there so quick, screaming and yelling. You know? He's a child. Let's place him. He's got tuberculosis. Let's quarantine him. You know? Better yet, let's not let him in yet. This situation that we've got, my friends, we continue to be silent. And let me be more blunt than that. You continue to be silent because you're white. You cannot apologize for being white, American, and Christian anymore. Stop it. We have got to stand up. Oh, by the way, did Kamala ever show up? No. Kamala, did she ever show up? I was wondering if she might have been at the back of the room someplace. But we cannot put up with that, my friends. We have to draw the line. This reminds me, these meetings that are going on, I'm supposed to be at one on Monday over in the Victoria area. But these meetings that are going on, it reminds me of the grassroots movement of the Tea Party about 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Now, I was a Tea Party president. And you know what the government did to me? I was audited by the IRS for 4 years for no reason. other than I was a Tea Party president. Even worse so, I was a Hispanic Tea Party president. I mean, I really went against their narrative. So my friends, let me warn you. You stand up for your rights, you stand up for your property, be careful. Because I know for a fact that the American Civil Liberties Union, that the Southern Poverty Leadership Conference and the Southern Poverty Law Center are looking to provoke, looking to find victims of white supremacy that are stopping the poor immigrants, okay? We've got to be careful, we've got to be careful how we do it, but we've got to do it. Because I guarantee, my friends, that Washington's not gonna do it for us. And I hate to say it, with all due respect to representatives of the Congressman and the Attorney General, and I don't know if anybody from the governor showed up. But my friends, I don't see much backbone from some of our Republican leaders. I don't. What we need, my friends, is strong talk and strong action. We cannot be ashamed. Again, we cannot be ashamed of being Americans, being Christians. We have a clash of cultures going on. Across the river, la mordida, the bribe, it's common. And why are those little girls being utilized? Because the value of life is zilch. Now, my friends, do you want that kind of culture in our backyard? No. I mean, honest, it's not a question of race. It's not a question of race. It is a question of culture. And we do not need lower class cultures. If you want that, go to Chicago. You know? Or New York. All you have to do is see what is happening to us. They are defunding the police. They are opening the jails, forgiving, decriminalizing everything. And then they're opening up the border. And then, on top of that, they want to take our guns. And now they want to parachute illegal aliens into your backyard without telling you. Ask the folks in Tennessee, ask the folks in Atascosa County. They're dropping them in very, very quietly. And then all of a sudden, where'd these people come from? My friends, we are in a battle. And the battle not only is with the politicians, it's with the media. The media, they will not report anything of what you are suffering, but they certainly will report real quick of what they're suffering. The spin is on. The front page of the San Antonio Express the other day carried pictures of people starving and dying of thirst. But what about the damage that they're doing to our nation? What about the carrying of COVID? Because, you know, they're still counting how many cases there are, but they never count how many cases are brought across. You know? We, my friends, cannot permit this to continue. Now let me close with this. It's very, very important, my friends, that we tell our story. And that we tell our story in the best way we can, through the best vehicles we can. I'm gonna be shameless here, There's my information over there as far as my radio program. I do lots and lots of interviews of ranchers and sheriffs because they've got stories to tell. And you know what's paying off? All of a sudden my radio program has got, well, as of this morning, over 35,000 listeners nationwide. I am getting notes from people in Wisconsin, people in Oregon, people in Idaho, telling me, we didn't know there was this bad. Why? Because they're not being told. They are not being told. We need to tell our story. We need to tell it with the right folks. We need vehicles so that we can do that. We can use social media. We can use alternative news sources. You know, the other day, the Fox News folks, they said that Bradco was cute. The sheriff was cute. That's what she said. Her words. I didn't say it. Her words. On Fox News, as the interview is over, she looks over. Oh, he's so cute. We need folks to listen to us, and we need not to be afraid to say this. Again, we need not to be afraid to say this. We need to say we cannot excuse it because they're poor, because they're downtrodden, because they're sick. There's lots of excuses. The biggest excuse is that they live in countries where their culture has permitted it. And then they say that it's our fault. I don't know about you, but I've never owned a slave, and I've never exploited a Salvadoran. I don't know. Heaven knows that I pay enough money in foreign aid, you know, not to mention in welfare. So, hey, how about we do this? How about we take care of them over there instead of over here? How about that? How about that we utilize all the abilities that we've got, all the resources that we have to protect our border, to protect our citizens? What's the point of being a legal, lawful citizen if an illegal alien, yes, I'll use that phrase, if an illegal alien has the same rights, benefits, and privileges? What's the point? I served in the Reagan administration. I fought in 1984-85 against the 1986 amnesty, which everybody said was going to be the last one and which was going to help Hispanics become Republicans. The biggest one that was yelling that was Senator Pete Wilson from California, screaming and yelling, we have to do it because all of those Hispanics in California are going to become Republicans. How did that work out? How did that work out? My friends, respect the law. We must tell the world to respect us. We cannot be the world's orphanage. We cannot be the world's orphanage, and we certainly cannot be the world's poorhouse. We can't. We can help them in their homeland, but we need to maintain our culture, our standard of living, our respect for the law. We are all Americans, whether we're Americans of Danish background, of Danish descent, of German descent, of Mexican descent. We are all Americans primero. First. Once again, my friends, I thank Kelly for putting this together. I thank her for the opportunity, giving me the opportunity to speak. I'll stick around. If anybody wants to talk about doing an interview at a later time, I'm right here. Thank you.
And thanks to you all for helping get word out all over Texas about this event. I really appreciate it. A few weeks ago in Uvalde, we went to a dinner. There was a lot of Border Patrol and DPS and a lot of law enforcement. And I had the opportunity to watch, I didn't know him, Mike Miller. And he's your next speaker. And we've given him a little bit extra time because he has so much energy and so much to say that it's very hard to put him in 10 minutes. But you will really enjoy what he has to say. Mike, come on up.
How's everybody doing? Before I get started, I want you guys to know I'm not doing this for fame. I'm not doing this to gain followers and likes. And before I even talk about myself, I want to talk about people I'm surrounded with. Can Latinos for Trump that are in here, can you guys please stand up? Go ahead. Each and every one of these people. I'm going to point over there to Misty Rhodes and David. Can you guys raise your hands? Misty, David, raise your hands. Those people there. This guy right here, Brent. I'm going to tell you the reason I am standing before you is because Jesus Christ put me here. I'm also standing before you because I'm very lucky to be alive. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. I have seen a lot of damage to my property. And I've seen a lot of damage to each and every one of you guys. And just like Kelly mentioned, I sat in a meeting and they give people a chance to talk, and U.S. Customs said, Mike, I think you need to come and you need to tell your story in here. And they need to know. So my ranch is Rancho Rio Lindo. We created the ranch. It was a Christian retreat center. People used to come and find Jesus on our property. We decided to make it a hunting property, a place where families can come together, a life lesson can be taught. We've seen families come together and that were broken on our property. And now what we're seeing is there's so much danger, I can't even go sleep in the cabins, and I'm gonna tell you why. The reason I mentioned each and every one of these people, Mr. Rodriguez here just interviewed me on his show. Bianca right here interviewed me on her platform. Misty and David have been helping me to organize my new foundation that I'm helping Texas with. Brent and I had to talk, 1 o'clock in the morning? So for folks who are following Warriors for Ranchers, I'm only living on a few hours of sleep because I care about Texas, I care about you, I care about every farmer and rancher sitting out here. How many of you guys are farmers? Raise your hand. How many of you guys are ranchers? Raise your hand. How many of you are law enforcement that fight for this state? Raise your hand. Well, I'm going to tell you, Sheriff Roy, Sheriff Coe, the gentleman that's standing up that's fighting for Texas, those are the guys that are motivating me to stand here and tell my story. So Rancho Rio Lindo, being a hunting property, we're only 300 acres, but we are the corner of the Border Patrol's area where they are circumventing to get to the Nueces River. We're right on the Nueces. So for my first experience of looking out there, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. I had thermal. I'm trying to get a big fat pig so we can have dinner at the place. And instead I see 2 flashlights climbing over my property. Much like his story, these guys can get away. You know, so in the middle of the night, Border Patrol comes and they said, are you pranking us? And I'm like, no, I'm not pranking you. I saw these guys, but they're dressed in solid black. They're wearing carpet shoes and they're sneaking on the property. But our Border Patrol agents are smart. So they did a stakeout and they actually caught the guys climbing the fence the next morning. So hands up to those guys for doing that. The next time is, you know guys, the kids didn't get to graduate last year and walk the stage because everybody was cooped up in a pandemic. And this isn't to tell you guys my good deeds, but it's to tell you guys how I met an amazing individual. So we adopted 2 girls for our graduating seniors and we put a care package together. And the father goes, I'm a professor at Incarnate Word College and my class is gonna adopt your business and we're gonna help you guys to grow. When they came to the ranch, one of the girls at night wanted to hunt a pig, and my wife and I, we sat and we were across the prairie and we were watching, and spotlights started shining underneath where this young lady was. 2 illegal immigrants came underneath her. 5 deputies and sheriffs came from Uvalde County. Border Patrol came, special agents came. My entire place became a battleground trying to find these individuals, and that was their experience on my property. And then we have hunters that come, and they come from long distances, and I'm sure all of you guys have lost money. How many of you guys have lost money because of this? Quite a few of you guys. How many of you guys have suffered damages to your property because of this? Quite a few guys. If you have suffered damage, before I leave this place, come talk to me. I'm going to help you find an avenue to get your properties taken care of. Now, I took an animal to Uvalde Meat Process, and I love those guys. If you guys have animals you need to take, that's a plug for them. Uvalde Meat's a family business. But when I came back, what I saw was different. I had family in a cabin, and I had a guy trying to get into the cabins, and the first thing you think of as a person is I have to protect my family. My wife and daughter were literally in there screaming. So I stepped back, and my humanitarian side said, well, if I do anything right now, these guys have more rights than we do. And so I had to step back. I'm bigger than the guy. So I looked at him, and there's a language barrier because I don't know his language, and he looked at me and said, agua. So I intimidated him to the point where he was so thirsty, he needed water right away. He didn't think about me beating his face in. So then I said, okay, well, Border Patrol told me one time if I caught him on my property to have a party and they'll come pick him up. So I had him sit down, eat, and then he said electrical. He wanted to charge his phone. And his arm was bleeding because these guys run through everything to get through your property. So while I was charging his phone, there was a map there, and that's to where his coyote was going to pick him up. So when Border Patrol came, not only did they arrest the guy for coming on my property, I patted him down to make sure the rest of my guests were safe. We had 2 loaded .308s on the table. He could have slaughtered my family. So they arrested the guy, and I had them translate. You came to America, you did it illegally, you're being arrested because you trespassed the property, and you intimidated my family. I go, next time do it legally, America's a great place. This is what he should have done. He recited back to me through the officer, and he said, I'm sorry, this will never happen again. So he got the message. When they shut the door, they go, this guy's from the Honduras, and these guys have been capturing kids and harvesting their organs. This stuff's happening in America, folks. So I want each and every one of you guys to know, it's not that I don't care about the illegal immigrants or the immigrants crossing our properties. They need to do it legally. They need to follow immigration laws. And they need to come across, and they shouldn't have to play hide and seek to get here, because they're getting hurt too. How many of you guys have found a dead body on your property? We got a dead body back there? That's not cool. And the thing is, they're taking pseudoephedrine, and they're trying to get through their fast, and they're not hydrating their bodies, and they're dying because they're doing that. That's another instance. My brother came on the property because this was a scary situation, because we had people come onto the property. When he was there, warning shots were fired at us by a drug cartel. So somebody asked, are they armed? Absolutely, because my next story is going to tell you why I'm lucky to be here. So they come onto the property, they're circumventing, they want to let us know we need to stay the hell out of their business, right? So my brother came on, Border Patrol came, the folks from the PAC and Agent Toro, you guys know who he is. I'm 5 minutes from there, so for this gentleman, it's an hour. They're really quick to get to my place. We had 2 that we saw in a drainage ditch. They caught 60 when they brought the helicopters over. 60 people. So if you've never driven a truck over a stock pond and seen a helicopter fly right over, that'll make your butthole perk, or how we say that in Texas. It's pretty scary. These aren't things that we should be worried about. You guys shouldn't be scared to sleep in your beds. This isn't what we should be worrying about. The next story is the one that scared me the most. I've got a 6-seater buggy, much like most of you. I throw cottonseed and hay in it. And if I'm losing my microphone, there it is, cottonseed and hay in it. And so I'm driving about 30 miles an hour with a fully automatic weapon. 3 shots were fired towards me as I'm just trying to put my hay and cottonseed out. I ride the fence line. My thought process is this, is when you're hunting ducks, you have to lead the duck, right? I think he aimed straight, and we took the doors off the back of our buggy, and the open spot in the back is where I think they went through, because he's very close to where I was. So this point, I have not been back to my ranch. The friends and family that we partner with are now got the property up for sale, and most of all my neighbors have put their property up for sale because of this. We've lost a business. We've lost a place where families get together and enjoy. But I want to tell you the real reason I'm here. When I stood up in Uvalde, when I met Carol Lee Perry, I looked around and I saw these eyes, all of them. And I know you guys are hurting. And right now, there's no crisis relief here in Texas. And I'm proud to say this. I formed Warriors for Ranchers. We've grown to over 4,000 people, and they're all warriors helping to fight for you guys. I want you guys to know I wasn't being disrespectful when I was filming, but those 3,000 warriors wanted to be here with me today, and many of them have been enlisted, and Miss Perry here is actually one of the directors on my board now. And it's all of them who stand behind me to do this. I walked into the Texas State Capitol building. How many of you guys like the license to carry? How would you guys like to know that I sat there and I helped pass a bill in the Texas State Capitol, and you can proudly carry that here in Texas? I also walked into that Texas State Capitol with a bunch of these folks from that organization that likes to terrorize our cities. You know the one I'm talking about. And they like to do it and walk away from it. How would you guys like to know that I sat and helped pass a bill that if they bust your buildings down and they tear up your property, that restitution is going to be paid, and that's all part of the people that unanimously voted that's going to be passed here in Texas, and that's made it from the House headed to the Senate. I'm just a dad. I'm just a dad. I'm just a husband. I'm just a person. But I want to put that power behind you guys. God said, I gave you a mouth, Mike. Use it. Well, I like using it. But here's the thing. I want to get this story out. If you don't have the guts to get your story out, you tell me and I'll get your story out. But it's folks like George here that has the heart to say, hey, I want you to come on your show. But Mike, you only got 15 minutes, so kind of let's put this together. We literally had to set it together. My average interview is an hour and a half. So you guys have probably heard of the big orange man with mean tweets. My voice made it to him. I will be going to Tampa, and I will be speaking at a convention that's currently sold over, I think, 7,500 tickets. I'm not going to let the state of Texas get ruined. Each and every one of you guys have plowed the future before all of us. And I want each and every one of you to know that I have a forum on my site that's going around. The governor wants to know how much this has impacted everyone. He's actually kind of just asking everybody, well, how do you think Biden's handling this thing? Well, I don't think he's handling it all, and I think Mr. Abbott needs to actually come down and he needs to see for himself and talk to the people, and he needs to be doing what you guys voted him in for. And I'm sorry, but I'm saying it. He has the power to shut these border walls. I'm not telling you guys I don't like the guy, but he has responsibility that he could be upholding. But it's gentlemen like this that's drafting the letter, that's making things done. Can we give Brent another hand? It's folks like that who are making a difference in Texas. It's folks like this is making, and this gentleman, he doesn't like getting up here and talking to people. I've talked to people my whole life. And I was actually a little motor mouth when I was a kid, but now I have a point behind it. That's because Jesus Christ founded our nation, and Jesus Christ is going to win it back. You need to tell your churches, your ministers, if you have a lukewarm minister in your church that's afraid to talk about these things, then you tell your minister in your church, we need to be praying for the people because Jesus cares about them people. That's why we go to church. That is why we go to church, folks. We need revival. We are seeing it right here. Have you guys ever heard the story when you have a bunch of ants chasing the grasshoppers? You know that little kid show, the ants? It's like a Disney film. And in that story, these big grasshoppers, they were dominating all these little ants, and they knew if all the ants came together, they were going to lose. Well, guess what? We're cowboys. We're not ants. Each and every single one of you guys may not have a cowboy hat, but you live in the most southern land, a big land, and us Texas, we love each other. And I want to tell each and every one of you guys, I love who you are. I do. And I'm sorry this is happening in our state. But if Mike Miller has anything to say about it, we're going to put an end to it. And these kind of folks that are standing around us, and you sitting in your chairs, we're going to do it. We're going to be the ones to get it done. I'm not just fighting from my seat at my house, folks. I have been in the presence of congressmen. When I went to Dallas, I got the pleasure of being invited by Miss Garcia here. When we went and Gracia, sorry. Sorry, Bianca Gracia. I said it too fast. So all the people around us, we had Greg Locke. Have you guys ever heard of him? He is Global Vision Bible Church. He said he's going to preach until the lights go out. And I think every single one of us, we need to do the same thing. You don't have to have a church over your head to pray to Jesus. But every single night I'm praying for these lawmakers and these gentlemen that put that badge on that's being disrespected because they are the ones that's going to be the first one to get the phone call, or our Border Patrol who's out there fighting. We need to tell them we love them, and we need to put God's armor of God around them each time they leave their house. Because without Christ, we will not win this. We won't. We won't win this. I am nothing without him. I am nothing without him. But he gave each and every one of you guys a voice. I asked you guys to follow Warriors for Ranchers, Texas for Closing the Border. Get on these sites. This isn't just about following people and liking people on Facebook. It is a platform that we can use. Do I like Facebook? It's not my favorite place. But is it something that we can all use for communication? Absolutely. If they shut you down, start a new page somewhere else. Let your people know where they can follow. You guys share your emails and you let everyone know where to go. So I'm going to wrap this up. Go to Warriors for Ranchers if you guys have had any damages to your property. Please fill out those forms. Email them to me. I will get them to Katy Perry. She's going to get them to the governor's office. We're going to fight to get relief at the state level and the national level. And I have one more thing to say. When I started this foundation, I originally started this organization to help build broken fences, broken doors, distressed properties. You know what I'm doing now? I'm fighting for children, folks. I'm fighting to put a stop to every single kid that's stuck in a building right now that is just asking for somebody to come in and save their life. That's what I'm fighting for. When you stand up for Christ, Christ works swiftly in your life, and I'm going to tell you why. Not only did he put me in front of each and every one of these individuals that matter, he also put me in individuals. Have you guys ever seen the movie Cartel Land? Okay, so that gentleman's name's Tim Foley. He called my house. He said, Mike, these are some of the things you need to do to protect your family. Trust me, I have folks I have to talk to on encrypted phone lines to protect my family now. I have to watch what I say and where I'm at. I have to watch my back. That's not fair. But I'm putting my head out for every single Texan out there, and I'm not going to stop until we get an answer to this. But then God put somebody else in my life. If you guys ever heard of Craig the Sawman Sawyer, SEAL Team 6, they made the movie Contraland after his daughter was abducted and he went in and he saved her life. He is fighting for each and every one of the kids that's been taken. I sat and I had coffee with him in Dallas, Texas, and he told me, Mike, I've got your 6. God has put those kind of people in my life, and he's done it swiftly. So to wrap this up, I want to say this, that we need to come together. You need to talk to your churches. You need to come together as a group of people who know that there's something big happening here, and we're starting here. Let your voice be heard to the masses. Don't be afraid to talk to people. And I want you guys to know that I've made the level to get to a very large platform. About 100 million people are going to hear this story. And if any of you guys have something that you need to put in there, I've got 1 hour to make a difference for Texas. And that's going to be on America Media Periscope on June 1st at 5 p.m. Central Time. And I have 3,000 people preparing for this. And that is with John Michael Chambers. He's going to get it out there. I've got another one with Epic Times, and I've got Border Crisis News coming out. I am working to be a voice for Texas. It's not about me getting in front of all these news channels and getting a voice, just like Miss Kate said. She doesn't like having to do it. But somebody's got to stand up and get the news out there, because on the East Coast, they're just going to circle around back to that. They're going to circle back to that. Hell, I don't even like the lady, but I know it had a circle in it. You know what I mean? Well, she needs to circle around and look at what's happening to Texas and what she needs to do. So I love each and every one of you guys. I'll be praying for you, praying for your families. God bless Texas.
And that's why we gave him a little bit more time. Bianca, if you'll come up. Bianca Gracia. I believe it used to be Latinos for Trump, but it's Latinos for American First now.
Thank you all for having me. I don't even know how, listen, I'm normally the fiery one. Everybody's there, here she comes. Mike, I don't know, it's like you just like, we just unleashed you and you're just like, rrr, bulldog, just running through. They used to call me the bulldozer, just bulldozer. I don't even know how I'm gonna follow this. But anyway, yes, my name is Bianca Gracia, president of Latinos for Trump. That still exists, it's an organization. Latinos for America First is now the PAC. We have a PAC. We've always had a PAC. And so what we've been doing is we started as a movement, really in 2016 because of Trump. In 2018, I started working for the Republican Party of Texas as a Hispanic engagement director, and there was no manual for that. It was just like, go out and engage. And so I did things that were not traditional. And as you know, a lot more Hispanics and Texans that have been here, like George says. And listen, just to make it clear, we named ourselves Latinos because we had to kind of throw a blanket over all of the United States, because the Democrats have done a very good job of subtitling and categorizing us. So you don't even know what to call yourselves anymore, right? But we really are Americans. And so when we go and tell people, we say, we're American Hispanics, we're American Mexicans, we're American Latinos, whatever you want to call us, at the end of the day, we are Americans. We all bleed the same blood. But you see that I made it a personal agenda of mine to go into the Hispanic communities and talk about policies and principles, the things that we believe in. And I'm going to tell you, this is why you saw from 2016 to 2020 the amount of the numbers that came out of Hispanics alone here in the state of Texas for Trump, because we were out on the ground talking to people, We did RV tours. We went out and we talked to people, registered voters, and we're consistently talking about the policies that were coming out of the administration. Not about, oh, it's the bad hombres and the rapists. Now look at what's happening at the border. I mean, he was already, listen, I was like, stop it. Like, stop talking about all the things that, but he called us rapists. No, he didn't. He said there are some bad hombres. And there is some bad hombres coming across the border. So, you know what? It's the reality of things. We have been at the forefront really pushing the America First agenda. And it's what we will continue to do. What we focus on is not just community engagement with our, across the nation. You know, we're very heavily here in Texas, and we're heavily in Florida, California, New York. We've got people all over Georgia, North Carolina. And I'm going to tell you something else. That one of the things that the Lord actually, when I got into this whole business of politics, God actually said, you're going to have to go hold the pastors accountable. Well, at the time, I was a Catholic. I didn't know a pastor. I went to my priest and said, hey, God said I have to hold pastors accountable. He said, I can't help you. I said, well, but God said, I heard his voice. He said, I can't help you. And I'm like, wow. But months later, God knew exactly what he was doing. And he did lead me to a pastor. And that pastor literally sat and looked at me and said, you want me to help you promote Trump? Do you know that our people are having heart attacks, anxiety attacks? They think that somebody's going to come knock on their door and deport them? I said, look, I'm not asking you to help Trump. I'm telling you what the Lord told me. So either you go pray about it and come back and tell me I'm crazy and I'm going to be fine with that, or figure it out. I'm just a messenger. 3 weeks later, he called me and he says, I'm ready to talk. We've been praying in my church and the Lord says, I have to help you. And that's how I ended up in the Hispanic evangelical churches speaking from the pulpit, where half the people are... That was kind of funny, I gotta tell you. But, you know, where half the people are illegal. But I told them, illegal is illegal, it's breaking the law. You know, and our ministers, pastors, priests, clergy, anyone who's in the business of God, right? You're sitting there and you're throwing away. You're saying, for the sake of the illegals and getting them papers that they've been promised for decades that never comes. Okay, the broken promises. In return, you're giving up the murder of babies. You're never going to get to the promised land with that mentality, is what I told them. And do you know what happens? I had congregations going, amen, amen. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? God, what's happening? Because God is law and order at the end of the day. So just so that you know, our organization has been fighting at the forefront. Before inauguration, we actually filed a civil rights lawsuit here in Texas. The civil rights lawsuit is asking for a redo in election because our civil rights were violated. Now, the left was already planning on this if Trump was in office. They already had it going since June, July. They were ready with their, what is it, George, the ACLU and all these other, they have an army of attorneys. But we said, listen, back in 1964, there was an Equality Act, right? That our voting rights are supposed to be protected. And when all the debacle happened in Florida, in 2002, they came out with a Helping America Voting Act. And that was something else that gives check boxes when you go vote. Check boxes. The things that they're supposed to follow, but guess what? They didn't. Because they used COVID and this emergency to just pretty much do whatever they wanted. Drive-by voting. Pop-up voting. I don't know. You can vote till, oh, sorry, we've given you 3 weeks. Oh, it's okay. You still can submit in your ballot 5 days later. You've given them 3 weeks. They don't need no more than 3 weeks. They don't even need more than one. Some places only get 1 day to vote, and that's all you get in third world countries. We're giving too much away. So our civil rights lawsuit says you violated our rights. We filed a lawsuit against all 50 states, from the governor to the secretary of state to all Congress. We're basically calling the whole Congress and the whole White House illegitimate. Because when you violate our civil rights and you didn't protect our votes, you're an illegitimate Congress. So we've done that. Now, one of the other things is we're big advocates. You see me wearing the Border Patrol hat today. We're advocates for our Border Patrol agents. 70% of them are Hispanic. 34% of the military, our veterans, are Hispanic. It's what we advocate for. We advocate for our people. And illegal is illegal. Some people are immigrants. I'm not kind about it, guys. I'm just gonna tell it how it is. It is what it is. They're still illegal aliens. Okay? That's what's written. You can try to, the left is great. They like change terms every day. Oh, we're not gonna call it this. That's just too, oh no. No, call it what it is. We're going around trying, I'm sorry, you need a safe space. I'm sorry, there was no safe spaces in my house. George, do you remember a safe space in your house? Never. My mom came back with a belt and she came back with a shoe, and there was no way to hide. No closet, no nothing. My brother used to run up the tree and would just wait there. She'd have to wait him out all day. But when he came down, because believe me, he was gonna get hungry or thirsty, he was still gonna get it. There's no safe place. There's not. I'm like, we can't keep, what are we doing? We have to keep fighting. Right now, we went and fed our Border Patrol agents in the Rio Grande Valley because, guys, it is unfair what they're going through right now. We did have a president in the White House that was the first one to actually deliver what he said he was going to do. He wasn't a politician. And let me tell you all something. I don't care about the skin color. At the end of the day, I am so sick of politicians. You have no idea. I hate being in this political realm. I do. I really do. Because I'm a person that if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. But these politicians are they like their power. They like their money. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at y'all right now. Please, whatever you do in this next upcoming election, please find alternatives. Quit voting the same people in that tell you they're going to do something and they don't do it at all. I'm serious. Because there is alternatives. And I'm telling you right now, I am seeing a lot of Hispanics and Latinos, and we are very conservative people. Extremely. Everybody has some kind of religious symbol or a Bible, a crucifix, Virgin Mary. They got something. A rosary. They got something in their house. Because faith is important. Family is important. Work ethic. We have a work ethic. Do you all know that I have illegals that have been here for 20, 30 years telling me, hey, y'all got to do something about this illegal problem? That have been here working, that have started a process to be here legally. And I'm like, what? Hold on a second. They're like, I've been living here 15, 20 years and I've been taking me this long to establish myself and these people are gonna come and take my job. I'm like, isn't that something? Isn't that something? But you know what? It is important that we as Americans back up our law enforcement, our Border Patrol agents, our armed forces. But it starts with us. You're a small community. And like Mike said and all these other people, they're just voices. Nobody asks like, me, put me in front of the camera. And nobody asks for that. Some people like it. I mean, I really don't, but you know what? I'm like Mike. I mean, God gave me a voice, and I'm going to continue to use it. I'm on radio, 1440 Keys, in the whole coastal Bend, South Texas, and I've had people calling from New York, so I didn't even know people were listening to me in New York. But you know, George is el conservador tejano and I'm la conservadora tejana. And I keep putting out y'all's messages, you know, and God is giving me platforms, and whatever I take, whatever message I get, whether it's from the sheriffs, from the Border Patrol, from ranchers, whoever story I can put out there to bring light into what's happening into this darkness, I'm gonna do it. And I continue to do it. I'm getting calls from all over the country. You have no idea how many people are setting themselves up to run for office. People never thought about running for office. A lot of them are veterans. I even got, thank you, sir, for your service. All veterans, thank you for your service. But the law enforcement or Border Patrol agents now, they're telling me, hey, I think, you know, we're kind of close up to retirement. And I'm like, we got to run you for office. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, no, seriously, we're going to run you for office. We got to. We got to save this country. It's the very thing, listen, this whole thing, the immigration, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, they all tell me, you better do something. I'm like, me? Why don't y'all do something? They said, look, we fled those countries and we came here legally to leave the communist socialists behind. And now it's here. It's here in your country. We got nowhere else to go. That is what's happening. They warned us. People told us. Look, Trump told us they were going to steal the election. He warned us. But yet, where was the RNC? Where was the Republican Party of Texas? Why were they not putting in parameters in effect so that these things weren't done to us, so that our vote wouldn't be stolen? I'm like, for every ballot, 10 ballots that was sent to a vacant house to 10 people, God knows who filled out those. It diluted my vote. It dilutes your vote. So we gotta fight for our country. And it takes a lot of us. I'll steal Hillary Clinton's. It takes a village. It sure does. But now we're on the right side and there's more of us than there is of them. Some of you got flyers, and it's we're coming to Del Rio to feed our Border Patrol agents here. I've been given a number of 600 to 700 Border Patrol agents. We ask that you go to LatinoTrumpCoalition.org and donate, if you can, to help this cause. We did 600, I believe, in the Rio Grande Valley from Brownsville all the way to Rio Grande, and then we're coming here and we're going to cover, I think it's like 6 stations: Carrizo Springs, Eagle Pass, Brackettville, and Del Rio. All we do is just go and provide them with a hot meal and say thank you. That's it. That's all we want to do. And that's what we've been doing. And then we're going to go to El Paso in September and do the same thing to the Border Patrol agents over there. This is not the first time we've done it. This is actually, we've been doing it for quite a while. So it's one of our service projects, the way we do community service in our org. That's what we do. That's how we get and talk and have conversations with people. We had 70-year-olds and 50-year-old Hispanics in the Rio Grande Valley coming up to us and saying, I'm here to register to vote. I'm like, what? You're 70 years old? Never voted in my life. But this is important. And their voice and their vote was stolen and minimized. So it is our people. You know, I fight against the illegal immigration. We're for legal immigration, not illegal. I fight for it because it's exactly why when the left tries to say, oh, you don't have any compassion or sympathy. No, I don't. You know why? Because these people are being sold into slavery. Great job, Democrats. You did it to the black people and now you're coming after mine. I don't think so. Human trafficking is the modern day slavery. I don't care what anybody tells you. That is exactly what's happening. It's what's happening to those little girls. It's what's happening to almost everyone. The cartel is using these people. The amount of drugs that's coming in is enormous. And Jaeson will tell you all about that. We got a serious, I don't call it, guys, do not call it a border crisis. Call it a border invasion. That's what I've been calling it. We're being invaded at the southern border here in Texas. It's an invasion. And we have a Texas Constitution. Thank you. Stop the invasion. There you go. Thank you, ma'am. We have been also, listen, we got a legislative affairs set up in our organization, and we have been pounding the phones of legislators all over this state of Texas and all over the Capitol, that they're tired of hearing us. I even heard that, I guess Friday, I don't know, this past week, they unplugged their phone lines because they were getting so many phone calls. Because I know that all of y'all are doing that. That's my message to you. I always give a call to action, and I'll leave you with that. Our call to action is, you don't think that you can't do anything, oh, you're too busy, whatever. No, you can do something. You don't need to be, if you don't want to be on camera or don't want to go out there and travel and tell a story. You don't have to do that. But you yourselves can hold your elected officials accountable, and not just your district. Hold them all accountable. And when they start coming and knocking on your door, oh, it's election season, say, start researching now and keep all the list of everything that they did not do for you when they had a chance. And let me tell you, I knew from the very get-go, when Trump came to visit the Border Patrol agents, before he left office, I was there to greet him. I didn't see not one Texas elected official waiting for the president here to say, hey, thank you, sir, for your service. You know, we're Texas, we got this. We're gonna finish the wall. Not one of our elected officials, not one, no, not locally, nor in Texas, showed up to greet the president and say, thank you for the 4 years you've given us, sir. We're Texas and we got it from here. Really? We're supposed to be Texas. DeSantis in Florida is making us look bad, people. We're Texas. When I have to travel all over the country, please don't make me have to say, I think I'm going to move to Florida. You know, I don't want to have to do that, guys. This is Texas. I tell people all the time, our Hispanic and Mexican heritage has been here fighting for freedom and liberty from the beginning. We were at the Battle of San Jacinto and the Battle of Alamo. And if you think that we're going to stop fighting now, you got something coming. So join us in the fight. That is my message. Call your legislators. Do something. If you really can only sit still for 2 hours, I will let you leave. But we're going to go probably another 20 or 30 minutes, and I don't think you're going to want to miss this either. So there's an important message to you here. Today they held, earlier today, we had a law enforcement conference. And there's hope on the horizon. There's a lot of people, and I was one of them too, that did say, well, what about the laws? I mean, we have laws, where are they? What are we doing? I mean, do they exist or do they not? Which ones are we following? Because I feel so sorry for Border Patrol, because they have one set of rules and we have a set of rules. And I'm really sorry because I don't feel like we're on the same side, and my heart hurts for them all the time. Our next speaker is Chuck Smith, and he spoke today at the law conference, and he really put this in the right words. He is an immigration attorney. He's licensed to practice in all Circuit Court of Appeal and immigration courts. Come share some wisdom, sir.
It certainly is an honor to be here. All these great speakers, I don't know if I can compete with any of them. They're outstanding. I will tell you that people ask me all the time if I'm a Republican. I don't know why they ask me that. Maybe it's my shoe size. By way of background, I finished running actually for Attorney General of Virginia. I come to you today from Virginia. I wouldn't miss this. And I didn't win, but this is what I told them. I said that I was born on the 4th of July. I told them that I'm a Marine, 0311, grunt ground pounder. I retired as a Navy JAG commander after 26 years of combined military service. I am the former chairman of the largest Republican Party in Virginia. I have practiced federal law, state law, Iowa law, Virginia law, military law, constitutional law, civil law, and the hottest single-button political issue in the United States today, immigration. And I don't need a Democrat to blow smoke in my ears about the benefits of illegal immigration to sanctuary cities. We have people, instead of coming through our back door, come through our front door. How about we start there? How about we have people respecting, obeying our laws, respecting our sovereignty? How about we start there? I'm standing with you, Texans, so we can have patriots, Americans, Virginians, lift their heads up, lift their backs up, lift their vision up, lift their faith up, lift their values up, lift their anchor up, and turn this ship around. Never before in the history of this country has our Constitution been more at risk. If you're angry, I'm angry. Never before in the history of this country have the rights of man, the freedoms of Americans been more at stake. If there ever was a time that we get back to common sense leadership, get back to the top of the issues that matter to Virginians, get back to God, get back to faith, get back to sovereignty, that time is now. But first, I kid you not, some of the bad guys are not always on the other side. Sometimes we got bad guys on our own side. So we have to start electing and selecting new leaders who've not had their hands sullied in the ways of the past. And what I call a good old boy system that has rocked this country and nearly brought it to its knees. Where favoritism, cronyism, homesteading have all been more important than character. Where endorsements have all been more important than experience. And sometimes where a pity-pat, pay-to-play, good old boy system has been more important than the conscience of the American voter. No, we need people to stand for this country with a spine, not a spleen, a voice, not a whimper. And say to the mobs, no, you will not take down our statues. You will not invade our country. You will not practice and continue to practice and support illegal immigration. And you will not take down America. So help us God. It is the Constitution, or it's nothing. It must be the Constitution, or it will be nothing. So I'm with you. I believe that we should stand for America. So we can say to Nancy Pelosi and the federal government, that runaway Congress, we can say to legislative bodies and some of our elected officials all across this country, particularly here in Texas, and oh, by the way, where's the Attorney General? You all have a good Attorney General. I love him. We hear a lot about him from Virginia, and yes, there's more work to be done here. But we need to tell people who continue to rob our rights from the scrolls of democracy that laws do not give us our constitutional rights. We were born with rights. God did it. The Constitution doesn't give us our freedoms. We were born free, born with freedoms. God did it. God has helped us build this nation. And I swear to you, it looks like the devil himself is trying to tear it all down. So we've got to stop the socialists. We've got to stop the communists. We've got to stop the anarchists. We've got to stop people who hate America from continuing to take God out of the classroom, God out of the courtroom, God out from the halls of justice, and the Constitution off the mantle. We've got to stop people from trying to rename America, redo America, to violate our rights of sovereignty as if the Constitution to them were just a glorified comic book. And history was her own personal erasing board. We've got to stop people from continuing to violate our laws, from continuing to demand things of Americans that they wouldn't demand if they were in their own country. We've got to stop people from continuing to give away our rights to drive on our highways, to give away our rights for people to stay in this country. Those particularly who enter the United States illegally, when they want, where they want, how they want, as if they were the citizens and we were the ones illegal. We've got to get our country back. This is not the United States of the Democratic Party. This is the United States of America. This is not one world order. It's one nation under God.
chaos, lawlessness that we've seen. This is the land of the free, the home of the brave. Spell it, law and order. Rule of law. And border walls that keeps crime out, keeps drugs out, keeps terrorism out, and keeps Americans safe. Yes, we had a president who fought the Russian hoax. He fought the apocalypse hoax. He fought the immigration, there was an immigration hoax because people come here and they never plan on going back. He fought the obstruction hoax. And he fought China, Russia, Iran, and he fought the Democratic coup 5.0 election fraud. I'm telling you that we need somebody in this country who's going to stand up for this country, stand up for our values. So I say, let's be a fighter. Let's stand up for our sovereignty. Let's tell people that yes, we need people to stand for America as an ally of America, not an enemy. We need people to stand for the Constitution as an ally of the Constitution, not a Benedict Arnold. We need people who are going to stand to be pro-America first, pro-America second, pro-Texas, who are going to stand for our rights, pro-life, pro-school choice, and the card-carrying, gun-toting, Bible-fearing, 100% unapologetic supporter of our Second Amendment to the United States Constitution and our men and women in blue. I'm telling you, we need somebody in allegiance to Old Glory, the American flag, the American spirit. And the only time these knees will kneel is when they kneel to pray to God for the souls of the traitors trampling out on American liberty. I laid it all out for them. I told them that I was a Marine 0311. I told them I was a Navy JAG. I told them that I was the former chairman of the largest Republican Party. I told them that I was born on the 4th of July. But most importantly, I told them that we need to get this country back. People will tell you all the time. They'll tell you all the time, oh, somehow you hear, oh, what's going on in Texas is not real. Oh, how about this one? They'll tell you that it's all about black. Being black this, black that, black this. It has never ever been about being black, because you know this. Had it ever been about being black, then more babies wouldn't be aborted in New York than black babies that are born alive. If it was ever about being black, if it was ever about being black, more black children wouldn't be killed weekend after weekend on the streets of Chicago. If it was ever about being black, more black-on-black crime would not be occurring from Portland to Atlanta to Georgia and Philadelphia. But I told them when I was running for office, if you truly want to make race an issue, if you truly want to make it all to being black, well, guess what? I beat you in that area too, because I've been black my whole life. We need somebody who's going to stand up for this country. We need somebody who has 10 endearing qualities, just like the 10 Bill of Rights, just like the 10 Commandments, who is knowledgeable, articulate, bilingual, charismatic, dynamic, energetic, faithful, loyal, good-looking, an inspiration to the voters, and who is a patriot for this country, somebody who is not going to let people down. That's why I came to Texas today, to tell you that if the love for this country, if the dream of America lives in nobody else, if the values of this country stand in no one else, it stands in me, in you, in us. Join with us, stand with us, because we are not going to turn around. We're not going to give up. We're not going to go back. We're not going to surrender, not Texas, not Virginia, not our land, not our vision, not our values, not our police officers, not one doggone inch. The founding fathers themselves might as well come back from the grave. Dr. Martin Luther King may as well come down from Mount Olympus. Past Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Euripides, Aristophanes, all of them seated around the Parthenon, because when they get to Texas, when they get to Del Rio, when they get to Brackettville, they're going to find you and me, all of us, believing in this country, standing, sitting, whatever it may be, holding on to Old Glory, the American flag, the American spirit, saying these words. This is our country, not those criminals. This is our country, not those illegals. This is our country, land of our birth. This is our country, grandest on earth. Say it with me. I pledge thee my allegiance, America, Virginia the bold, For this is our country, to have and to hold. God bless you all. God save the Commonwealth. God bless America. Thank you. It's a joy to be here.
Next, we have Jaeson Jones, and a lot of you have probably seen Jaeson on TV quite a bit. We're very, very lucky to have had him here today. He is a nationally recognized border security consultant who aids law enforcement against the Mexican cartels. And he is on a mission to help everybody, everywhere, law enforcement, change some of this around. So please welcome Jaeson Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, how's my volume? Can you hear me in the back okay? All right, fantastic. I want to start with a quick story. 2004, I'm an undercover narcotics agent in Brownsville, Texas with the DPS. I get called down to the checkpoint because Border Patrol's apprehended 2 individuals with about 250 pounds of marijuana, and nobody wants it because it's under the threshold. It's only 250 pounds. We said as a state guys, sure, we'll come down and we'll take that. And as we get there, me and my partner, we're booking in these 2 guys, and we're getting ready to take custody of them. When about that time, this young Border Patrol agent, absolutely soaked in water and covered in mud, comes running in, and he is carrying this precious little girl, who I estimate to be between 4 to 6 years old. And she is screaming, and she is covered in mud across her face. She is soaking wet. And you can tell very quickly this young guy has no children because he is bouncing her like this, because apparently that's what you do, right? So now I'm rocking my 1980s mullet because I'm undercover, right? That's what you do in narcotics. And I walk over to him and I said, hey man, can I help you? And immediately he pushed this little girl out to me. And so I grab her and I get her in, I pull her close and I get her calmed down. And I said, what is going on? He said, man, I was down at the river. And he said, now remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is Brownsville, Texas. The river's very wide, it moves very quickly, and it's close to the ocean. He said, I'm down at the river and I see something crossing from the Mexico side to the US side, but I don't know what it is. So what he does is he runs down, he parallels it right at the border. And he realizes what he's seeing. He's seeing this little girl with her arms around the smuggler's neck. And it's her feet that are dangling, which is why he didn't realize what it was because of the swiftness of the current. So he runs down. As he does, the smuggler comes up out of the water, half in the water, half out. He sees the agent coming. He reaches around, grabs the little girl, and he just chunks her. She flies into the air and lands in the water, submerged but stuck in the mud. He jumps in, grabs her, pulls her out. The smuggler at the same time jumps up, jumps back into the water, and swims to Mexico. As he's swimming, he's getting her out of the water, and he realizes what he sees on the Mexico side. He sees another little boy that he estimated to be between the ages of 10, 12, somewhere around there, wearing a backpack. So he gets the little girl out of the water, and he starts trying to get things situated. He looks up, and about that time, the guy's coming up on the Mexico side. So in Spanish, this young agent says, he's got a head on his shoulders pretty good. He yells at me, he says, hey man, what the hell's going on here? And the smuggler looks at him, and he says, I was paid by the parents to bring them across, and you have basically screwed this up. And he didn't say it was. So the agent says to him, hey man, I tell you what. He says, grab the little boy, bring him back across here. I'll step to the side. That way I can get them back together. And so the guy looks down at the little boy, looks back up, looks down at the little boy. As he's looking at the agent, he grabs him by the hair. Reaches down, he grabs the backpack, he yanks the backpack off of him, throws him to the ground, turns, and he just walks off. The little boy jumps up and runs in the opposite direction. We went down there, we spent about an hour trying to locate him, never found him. The fear was that he was going to cross, trying to get to his sister, and he would drown. And I share that story with you because that was 2004. This is how long our state, all of you, and really our nation has been dealing with these unaccompanied alien children. And I share that with you today because the stories that were told up here and the stories that each and every one of you as Texans, as Arizonans, as New Mexico, folks from New Mexico and California have, ladies and gentlemen, we're all dealing with it. And your stories matter. And I want you to hear me on this. You've got to tell it. If we want to fix what's broken, you've got to tell the story and you've got to show it. Look at how dynamic it was when you saw those children today. I'm going to ask each and every one of you and everyone up here who is dealing with this every day, start filming it. Teach your family to cover your back and film what is happening and get it to the media. Because what is happening in this country is not getting to people. They believe it's an immigration issue. But everything you have talked about today is the underlying issues of the cartels and what they are doing. And that's the story that's not told. I retired from the state police in 2016, and it's been my mission for the last 4 years to get the U.S. government to take action. I speak on this all over the nation, and I bring news media from across the country. I was just in South Texas last week with Epoch Times and NTD Television, so that people from New York City can see it for real, what's happening and how it's affecting you and your families. And we have to tell that story, but more importantly, we have to show it. Let me show you what is also happening at your border. Now, I hope the volume works here because we've had some issues, but this is in December at your border in South Texas in Roma, where the violence between the Gulf Cartel and Cartel del Noreste are taking place. Luckily, in December, we had Lara Logan and Fox News.
It's 4 a.m. southern border of Texas, in the tiny town of Rome. We've arrived with counterterrorism specialist Jaeson Jones to find war raging on America's doorstep. Yes. That's correct. Yeah. Oh, and there's across the Rio Grande in the Mexican city of Miguel Alemán, a resident captured this view. The people here trapped between rival cartels, fighting for control. Back on the U.S. side, Jones had been keeping track. So this is 319 here?
This is the 4th day of back-to-back gun battles that Border Patrol has heard these things and reported them in 4 days straight. Yesterday, they had a gun battle at noon, same location where we're reporting from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I came down here, or when I was asked to come down, it was really to help law enforcement. And then last minute, I was asked if I would just say a few words to you. But that words fall empty from people who aren't living down here with you. You hear it all the time. You hear words. But what are people doing to truly help you? That's the problem. It's always got something to say, no action that follows. You hear it all the time. The man to the left over here owns JVA Electronic Fencing. His story is incredible. I'm going to ask that each of you take a minute to visit with him. He is here today because what happened to him and his family in South Africa, where ranch owners were being brutally killed, is a story that is incredible. When his wife one day told him, hey, we're leaving for the United States, and he arrives here 3 days before the COVID lockdown. He has built his own system that is now in countries all over the world that is affordable. Guess what it does for ranchers and farmers? It's affordable, which is one thing we never see in this stuff, but it will actually tell you as the ranch owner what fence just got cut, what fence just got tampered with, so now you have some standoff capability to protect your families. The man is here for you today, so please visit with him. Second, Goliad. Joel, please raise your hand. Joel is, we call him Q from DPS. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're familiar with the Drawbridge camera program, the tens of thousands of them that are deployed, that man created it. He is the best of the best in IT, and he is here for you. He's also brought for you today the latest camera systems so that you and your families can see what's happening. Joel, how much is that camera run? Under $100. Listen, we're trying to do what we can to help you and your families. If you have IT problems, the man is here. Please talk to him. Look, this isn't getting better. I travel the nation on this, and you can't leave because there's nowhere to go. If you go to Ohio, here's what you're going to be dealt with. Fentanyl and methamphetamine at a level of overdoses as a nation we've never been to, ever. Those of you that remember what we were dealing with in the 1980s with the crack epidemic is nothing to what the Mexican cartels are pushing right now. From August 2020 to August 2019, 88,000 Americans have overdosed in this country, and it should be on the news every single night, all night long, when that story is not being told. Yet CDC data shows it. As a nation, what we are doing is going in the wrong direction. It's not a perception, it's not a feeling. You are living it every day. I want to show you something else that's going on in South Texas. You talk about the cartels today. Let me show you human trafficking, not hear about it. Guys, please pass around these wristbands. This is from just last week. Now, we broke the story, as you'll see here, February 14th, that the Gulf Cartel was now literally putting wristbands on men, women, and children, because you have to remember, to them, the people that are coming on your property that you're dealing with have already had to pay what is known as the piso or the tax. And it is amazing what is happening. I mean, it's absolutely, fundamentally a massive failure on our system, what is happening. In 2014, if you wanted to cross illegally at the border in South Texas, it would run around $100. Today, if you're a Mexican citizen, it's $2,500 even for children. The youngest I saw in the last few weeks was 23 days old. Never seen that before. If you're Central American, which are the most of them now, it's $3,000. If you're Chinese, it's $5,000. And if you're Middle Eastern, or if you are Russian, it's $9,000. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is coming now. You will hear on national news from these pundits who have never been to the border that it's like last time. No, it is not. That is not correct. The people that are coming are Mexican citizens, yes, some, but we have more people coming from around the world than ever before. That's not a perception. The data from CBP validates it, and it is stunning. We have more people from a special interest alien country, a country with a terrorism nexus, crossing than the systems and the programs that we have in place can keep up with. It's just, it is what it is. But I'm here to provide to you, not hope. I'm here to tell you that this is absolutely winnable. But we have to see it for what it is. We have to see it and understand it. But more importantly, we have to show Americans. Look, when I go to New York City, ladies and gentlemen, in New York City, when I show them what has really been happening, they say, hang on a second, Jason, when did this start? This has to stop. Because the news media is not showing them. They truly hear immigration all day. If you ask them what a bailout is that you've lived with, and by the way, just today, sure, are we still at just 2 today, right here in the town? 2 bailouts in your town today. How many yesterday? You weren't here yesterday. People up north don't realize that. They hear immigration and everything you've talked about, drug trafficking, weapon trafficking, human smuggling, is what you are living with and dealing with. So how do we fix it? 3 ways. 1, we designate the Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We've been at it for 4 years, almost got it done in 2019. Second, we fixed the broken uniform crime report under the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Absolute failure. Do you realize everything we are talking about today is not captured amongst 18,000 agencies? And what has happened is we've been pinned against Republicans and Democrats, but what has really happened is a system that doesn't capture any of the things we've talked about, all of it. Can Can you believe in this country, we've been in a supposed drug war since the 60s. And amongst 18,000 law enforcement agencies, we can't even tell you how much dope is seized by these agencies. And if you don't have the data, there is no way for agencies that are billion-dollar industry or billion-dollar government agencies are going to change programs to go after the cartels until you can show it. So when you have me stand up in front of you and I tell you, illuminate it. Show America what you're dealing with. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to do it because there's nowhere else to go. I just came from Arizona. I was out there with Sheriff Mark Lamb from Pinal County. You may be familiar with him. Great American. He is trying to do everything he can to eliminate this as well. 70 miles in the U.S., the same story I'm being told. And I'm filming it. Guys wearing camouflage hats, camouflage clothing, backpacks on their chest, backpacks on their back, camouflage pants, and carpet shoes. 70 miles into the U.S., and what is the federal government doing? Nothing. I will tell you today is where it starts. Today, right here, what has happened today is absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. What your county judge is doing to lead, what your attorney is doing to lead, your sheriff and all of you to get together, and I saw 21 different counties here today talking about law enforcement activities and what they can do to collaborate and think differently than ever before is how it starts. This is how you win, but I will tell you also, you need to get tough. And I want you to hear me on this. What we are up against with the cartels is like nothing many of us have ever faced. And it is going to get worse before it gets better. But you must unite here. You must stand strong and you must support your sheriff and your leaders, because when they start doing what they're about to do, the media is going to come for them and you've got to support them. All right? You've got to support them. Last thing I'm going to say on this, and I'm going to step off here, is that Texas, as Texas goes the nation. Right now, people are leaving the East Coast and the West Coast in numbers the nation has never seen before, ever. They are coming here. When I tell you there's no place else to go, you are it. That's right. We have got to draw a line in the sand, and we have got to unite on these issues. These cartels, ladies and gentlemen, they have taken over Mexico. They are now a parallel government with Mexico. When you think of the Mexican government, you think of the cartels, they are symbiotic. This is where we are. Unite, coordinate, collaborate, work with these people, and win this fight. God bless you. Thank you very much for having me.